So a brand community is the connection and interaction between an individual person's identity, the culture around them, and the brand itself. Social technology allows these brand communities to pop up, grow, and be nourished more than ever. You know, you've always had brand communities around your advertising, but now it's more prevalent, and now companies are actually listening to them and helping them shape their products and their advertising and all of their campaigns. So in today's brand communities, consumers lead the story arc, and what that means is that every single self-contained piece of content that you put out there is interpreted and absorbed differently. And brand communities thrive in this kind of on-demand culture where consumers can turn it on or off 24 hours a day. Because consumers can turn it on and off, you have to think about those different channels and how people are going to receive your message. So in brand communities, people talk and aggregate the pieces of the story that you've been distributing, and they're picking it up through all the various technologies and platforms that they're using. But on top of that, they also create, they remix, and they share their own parts of the story. And once a brand community gets going, a lot of times they're going to do this without your help. So brand community members do all of this stuff for, with, and a lot of times against brands. So you have to know how to deal with that and how that fits into your messaging. And I talked about a distribution of creativity on your side, the advertising side, but there's also a distribution of creativity on the user side. As creative people, you probably know this and you've probably experienced this as you've interacted with brands, but everybody's a publisher in their own right, including in the realms of brand communities. So think about ideas and concepts that crowdsource and use user-generated content, and how you can use those things to further your brand story, and how they could even potentially derail your brand story, and what you can do to stop that. Brand communities have also created this entirely new subset of jobs called community managers. And when you're ideating and concepting, it's important to keep in mind the existence of these people. So community managers are the ones who on a day-to-day basis interact with brand communities on Facebook and Twitter and the social networks that they're present on. And they disperse information, and a lot of times they're going to be the ones distributing pieces of, you know, your campaigns and the stories that you want to tell. So, you know, there's not standalone campaigns anymore. Community managers are advocates, and not of the brand, but of the consumers themselves. They listen, they engage customers, they have conversations, and they'll respond to people whether it's privately or publicly, and keep those discussions going. At the same time, community managers are going to be your biggest brand evangelists, and they're going to use traditional tactics and conversations to really push content and promote things out to the audience. And the reason this works is that they've built up a level of trust and a level of involvement within that brand community, so they're listened to a little more than your regular, you know, broadcast advertising or broadcast communications. I'm actually averse to the community manager title because I don't think you can manage communities. The real challenge is to create and cultivate a place where brand communities can thrive and where all the pieces of the story that you've put out can be shared. The thing with community managers is that you don't have to control the conversation to benefit from an interest in your product or brand. And a lot of times, you know, you're not going to be able to control that conversation. So the key for you creatives is to produce something that both pulls people together and gives them something to do.